Season 1, episode 21. It's called Symbiosis. So this one starts off all normal, they're cruising in the Enterprise, traveling 35,000, 100 million light years away or whatever. Picard's all like, engage, and they're off, right? And they're just doing their Enterprise-y thing, and in front of them is like a cargo ship or something with distress signals. Picard's like, wow, it's breaking up, it's staticky, and what's happening? And they're like, help. So he's like, okay, we're going to beam you all on board. Huddle, and do you have the life signs, O'Brien? Can we beam them into transporter room 3? Or wherever. It's always transporter room 3. And so he's like, yeah, I got them. I mean, I think there's more, but I got some of them. And so they beamed just kind of a lot of them. They were like, okay, weren't there 6 of you? And they're like, yeah, but 2 of them couldn't make it because we had to bring the cargo. And they're like, why would you not just leave your luggage, right? Like, what is this cargo? Oh, it's fine. Everybody, we're fine. Thank you for saving us. There's 4 people and this thing, this cargo. It's looks like a steel, like an Airstream, but on its end, kind of like a silver. I don't know. It's a thing. So there's 4 people, right? 2 of them are from a planet that has a plague. Like, all of them have this sickness, this illness, this something that doctors don't know why. And 2 of them are from this other planet that manufactures a medicine that completely alleviates the symptoms. So if this planet, like all of the people, don't take the medicine that this planet provides, which was what the cargo was, which is why they thought it was more important than their own lives, they would die. So that's why they were willing to sacrifice 2 of the guys on the cargo ship, because they thought if we don't save that cargo, it was like millions and millions of doses of this medicine. So Picard's like, oh my God, okay. All right, fine. Well, we'll fix up your cargo ship and send you on your way. But then what happens is the 2 that were from the planet that had the plague started showing their symptoms because it had been a little while since they had their dose. So then there's like a squabble. Like the 2 that were showing symptoms were like, well, I need some of this. Let's dispense some of this for us. And then the other 2 who manufactured it were like, you didn't pay for it. And they were like, well, we did pay for it. It's on the cargo ship that exploded. And then the other 2 were like, yeah, so you didn't pay for it. And they were like, what? So this is moral dilemma number 1 on this episode. It's so good. So then they looked at Picard. Well, you're the captain of this ship. Who do you say gets it? And he's like, that's not my place. Like, we have what we call a prime directive. And what that means is we are not allowed to interfere in the lives of other worlds. Like, we can like rescue you, obviously, but we can't do anything that would like significantly alter the course of a lot of you, right? So you'll have to decide for yourselves. So then the 2 started showing like massive symptoms. They were in sickbay with Dr. Beverly Crusher, as Picard calls her, Dr. Crusher. And she's like, I can't figure this out. And Picard's like, well, what, like, is it an airborne virus? Like, are we okay? And she's like, yeah, we're fine because blah, 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 something filters in the Enterprise, something, they're not contagious. I just can't figure out what it is, though. Picard's like, okay, well, do what you can. And so she's like, I can't figure out how to fix them, but they are clearly ill, like really, really ill. Picard's like, are they going to die? And she's like, I really don't know. Like, they are not okay. They are not well. Like, they look like they could very well die. What happens is the manufacturers save the day and they say, well, okay, we will give you enough to save your lives right now. Like, we'll give you a dose. And then we still need to figure out who pays for what, right? They're like, thank you, thank you, thank you. So Dr. Crusher takes it to sickbay and administers it or helps them or whatever, or watches them. They know what to do. And instantly they're better. So Picard comes to Dr. Crusher and is like, did it work? Are they better? And she's like, yeah, like too good. Like instantly they're better. So she decides, well, I can't figure out what's wrong with them medically. Like nothing is showing up medically that's wrong with them. So she decides to take a look at a sample of the medicine. And she discovers it's a narcotic. So she tells Picard, and he's like, what are you saying? Everyone on the planet who's sick? And Dr. Crusher says, is a drug addict. Like, what? So anyways, now this is moral dilemma number 2. So Dr. Crusher's like, well, we have to tell them. We have to tell them. Like, the one whole planet is creating, like, perpetuating a problem, right? If they just stop manufacturing it and tell them just the truth, like, you don't need this, it's not medicine, it's, you're addicted, but you'll be fine. And Picard says, no. Dr. Crusher's like, what are you talking about? Of course we're going to tell them. Like, why on earth would we not tell them what's happening here? And Picard's like, the Prime Directive. And she's like, you've got to be kidding me. The Prime Directive is to save people. You would save a whole world if we told them. And he's like, technically, no. They are working just fine because the manufacturers of this medicine has no other industry on their world. They have nothing. They grow, manufacture this medicine. That is all they have. They depend on the other planet for income. So, yeah. So Dr. Crusher, she's just mad, right? You're telling me you're like, they are like, it's not fair. It's not right. It's immoral what they're doing. Picard's like, that's our opinion, though. And she's just livid. Anyways, so Picard says, Kate, I'm going to beam you all back to wherever he beams them. I'm going to beam all of you back to wherever, one of their planets probably. And so then right before Picard says, energize, the one fellow's like, but from the sick planet, he's like, oh, by the way, our cargo ships are like really, really old. You were mentioned something about helping us with our cargo ships, something about a coil or something that you can easily replicate for us and help us with all of our cargo ships. And Picard's like, oh, no, sorry, you're going to have to learn how to fix your own cargo ships. And he was like, well, but if we can't fix our cargo ships, we won't get any more medicine. We will all die. And Picard's like, I think you'll figure things out. So that was his sort of loophole, I guess. So he's going to send all of them back, but they will never again be able to get any more of this medicine. And that's how it ends. So it's kind of a good ending. Like, they didn't tell or interfere. They will discover. If they can't get any more with their cargo ships, they will learn that they were simply addicted to the substance. They will go through withdrawals and then they will be fine. When they aren't able to access anymore, they will be just fine. And generations will go by and they'll never know the difference. Yeah, I just gotta put this out to the world. What would you do for both moral dilemmas? So this is why this is yogic. Moral dilemmas, and you can potentially help. What do you do? Right? Situation one, before we knew it was a narcotic, one civilization has the medicine. The other one, we think, will die without the medicine. To whom does the cargo belong, right? The money is gone. Technically, the one did pay for it, but it exploded on the cargo ship. And the other one did not receive payment, well, because it exploded on the cargo ship. So what would you do then? And then part B, part two, what would you do when you discovered that medicine is actually poison? So it was so good because it just flipped 180. All, we went from being like, you have to give it to them because it's going to save them. And then within 45 minutes, we were like, you have to not give it to them so that you can save them. So it was like really tugged on our heartstrings. So, whew, right? Let me add another thought. Actually, let me finish it first. I didn't even tell you the best bit. Okay, the best bit. So they beam them down. And so Dr. Crusher was like, that was a close one. And Picard's like, meh, right? Like he's all feeling cool, right? Because everything worked out as it always does with Picard because of his awesomeness. But there's this one part, it was so good. So they walk out of the transporter room into the turbo lift, which is their elevator for the Enterprise. And Picard halts the turbo lift, right? Emergency stop. To say this. The Prime Directive is not just a set of rules. It's a philosophy and a very correct one. History has proven time and time again that whenever mankind interferes with a less developed civilization, no matter how well-intentioned that interference might be, the results are invariably disastrous. And then he unhalts the turbo lift. So cool he is. And he's right. He's always right. The nature of the show. But yeah, I want to know what you think, because this is such a good exercise in learning about yourself. In yoga, we have what we call swadhyaya. It means self-study. So we take a look at ourselves and try and figure what would I do in a certain situation. And if you know unequivocally what your morals are, and if you have a calm and equanimous mind, you will always know what to do. Isn't that interesting? If you know what your morals are, the decision is easy. Not easy on the heart, but easy to conclude, right? Like Picard had the Prime Directive. We do not interfere. It just so happened that it worked out. But to simply tell them, if you actually think about what Dr. Crusher wanted to do, she wanted to tell them the truth, right? And on Earth here, have you ever met someone who was addicted to something? Maybe it was drugs, maybe it was smoking. Have you ever told them, hey, that's bad for you. Probably you shouldn't do that. And did they go, oh, really? Okay. Okay. And then they quit right there on the spot forever. So hence the Prime Directive. So it doesn't have to mean we're in space and meeting other civilizations. It can even mean on Earth. If someone is not ready for personal growth, development, or change, it won't work. So to try and force your opinion on them. You know what I mean? Like, so that is how I see this episode relating to the real world. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. So there you go. Food for thought. Thank you so much for listening. And please do leave in the comment section whatever you think about this episode. It's so good. Let me know if you've watched it yourself. I would love to hear from you. Namaste.